Good morning, everybody. Welcome back for installment of Scott Selections here for Friday, February 25th. Before again today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up having a mediocre day. We lost the play of the day with the Hawks and Bulls over 234.5 at minus 110 on DraftKings. Unfortunately, the line climbed up to 240.5, so we beat a 6-point line move, and it did not matter. Both teams combined for 43 points in the first quarter, and the over was basically dead from that point forward. We had a shot at overtime, didn't work out, and we picked up a loss there. On the bright side, I was in charge of the Bet the Farm play for the joint show, and we had the Warriors minus 9.5, and they won by 30 plus. So overall, could have been worse, but hopefully we'll get a play that a winner here on Friday. Full disclaimer, though, really was not that great of a card. Going through college and the NBA, not much jumped off the page. I found one NBA game that I like, but just keep in mind it's a pretty weak card as a whole. But looking at the actual NBA card, the matchup I do like is between the Spurs and the Wizards, taking place at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And for the play of the day, we're going to take San Antonio on the road, minus 2.5 at minus 118 on FanDuel. Time recording of 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Couple reasons why I like the Spurs in this spot. First of all, San Antonio has actually been pretty good on the road lately. The Spurs have won 3 of their last 4 road games by at least 8 points. Plus Washington, we know that they ended up blowing up pretty much the majority of the team right before the trade deadline, but they've been terrible at home recently. The Wizards have lost 7 of their last 9 home games. And looking at the actual efficiency numbers, San Antonio is better at offense and at defense. It is a bit close, but San Antonio is still better. San Antonio ranks 17th in offensive efficiency, while Washington ranks 21st. And San Antonio ranks tied for 18th in defense efficiency, while Washington ranks 22nd. Now, of course, a decent amount of those stats for Washington involve Beal and Dinwiddie playing in the majority of those games. And, of course, now both of them are not on the roster. Plus, Porzingis is still out. I saw Thomas Bryant's also questionable for this game. So Washington's not exactly, let's just say, as good as their efficiency numbers show, which is extremely concerning because Washington's efficiency numbers aren't very good. But you can go through the recent wins by Washington. They've won 3 games in about the last 2 weeks combined. They beat the Nets twice, including the Nets in Brooklyn, so you had no Kyrie. They beat Kyrie and basically nobody else by 1, and they beat the Pistons. So they beat a pretty weak, I'd say, level of competition in those games. Meanwhile, San Antonio, they haven't exactly been beating up on great teams, but they've done a pretty good job on the road of taking care of business against inferior teams. And Washington, with this current roster, might actually be a bottom 5, bottom 10 team in the league. But if you want to look at the history of San Antonio traveling to Washington, they've actually fared pretty well. San Antonio is 10-4 ATS in the last 14 meetings in Washington. So I do think that San Antonio should travel pretty well here. And the Wizards, even though record-wise they're definitely close to San Antonio, after they were complete sellers at the deadline, I have to at least acknowledge that San Antonio is a much better team. And I do think this line should be closer to 3.5 or 4. I expect to see more money coming in on San Antonio leading up to this game. So the play of the day, once again, here for Friday, February 25th, is going to be on the Spurs, minus 2.5 at minus 118 on FanDuel. Bye, everyone.